Who else needs to, wait, hang on.
Okay, so thank you everyone for coming to this presentation. We made a student's dashboard. So we made it, this team was created to develop side projects to practice the different things that we learned during the course. We made a website using HTML, CSS, JS. That was a vegetarian recipe website. And then finally we implement what we learned for front and back end in this project. So our main motivations for to create this project was that we as a student needed a place or a learning platform where we can have all the information in only one place, and then that the staff can track our progress. We faced some challenges. The general ones that we faced was the time, the deadlines, and the task management, and then some lack of experience. But we tried to figure out, and we made, we split our team in two for the front end and the back end. For the front end, we made the mockups using Figma. We use style components and design and React, and the back end use Rails and Progress SQL. Postgres, I mean.
So the front end team consisted of our team lead, which was Jorge, and the UI design and React was Lou, Natalia, and myself, and also with React was Lulia and Johan.
Alrighty. So yeah, so some of the challenges that we faced on the front end, I mean, we faced challenges like in the front end, the back end, all over, but for the front end, the challenges that we faced was, the first one was like working with Ant Design. So coming into this, we had experience with Bootstrap, React Bootstrap, and some of us had used Material UI before, but we had never used Ant Design. I actually hadn't heard of it before we started working on this project. So like getting familiar with the documentation, the components, how things are organized, there was a learning curve to that. The second challenge that we faced was cookies, authentication, authorization. Yeah, so like there's so many challenges, like setting the cookie, removing the cookie. You know, we tried to set the cookie like cross origin and we realized that's not like feasible. So yeah, so a lot of issues with like authentication, authorization. Another challenge that we had was there was moments where the React team or the front end team wanted information from the back end team, but the back end team was working on something else, so they couldn't give it to us at that moment. So we decided to move to Airtable. That was like a temporary database that we used, so we could kind of scaffold the front end with the information that we wanted, and then once the back end team was done, they could provide us that information, and we removed Airtable. But that was also a challenge. And then like another challenge that we faced more recently was like the file structure. So we, you know, I don't have any experience like planning like, you know, big projects. This project was like actually pretty complex. So like we didn't like organize like the file structure from the beginning. So towards the end, when we started working on student components and staff components, you know, there's components that both of those people share. And then they have their own like individual components. So we thought that it'd be good to organize the file structure so it'd be like intuitive, easy to understand, and then also rendering like certain components was a challenge. Yeah, so those were some of the challenges that we faced.
In our backend team, we have Johan Ochoa, Sinan Cengiz, Denison Velasquez, and Jorge Gavito.
So yeah, so we're going to talk about like the challenges in the backend. Basically, structuring the API to fit in front end needs. Sometimes like we as a backend, we're like, okay, we have to create like the authentication, we have to create courses, lessons, and things like that. And sometimes the front end, it's needing that information, but in certain structure, that in certain way, we didn't know. So basically we had to do like all these changes all the time and kind of like needing or waiting that like the front end, okay, we need this information in this structure. And like that was, even if we have like a good communication with the front end, we're working like mostly like together. It was a challenge to kind of like, you know, like send the exact information that they needed. okay, learn to use Rails and the structure of the framework. So basically, that was a huge challenge because when we started this project, we didn't actually start like learning Rails. So we basically learned Rails with this project. So that was a huge challenge for us. And another challenge was the cookie authentication and deployment. That was a big one because when we were like authenticating the cookie, in development, everything was working well, but when it was in production, due to, as Jorge said, like the cross origin and the domain, we were having like a lot of problems setting the cookie in the in the browser. So that was a huge challenge, but we finally could deal with that and solve the problem. And adding validation, yeah, it is always like very interesting because there are like some things that in the back end we want to validate this information, but the front end needs in certain way. So that was another challenge. Okay.
Alrighty. Yeah, so for this project, we kind of broke it down into three parts or three goals. The first part was just like the landing page. So essentially, that was kind of our priority in the beginning, just like creating the landing page, navbar, login, all that. And then the second part was moving into like the student dashboard. So these were the components and the pages that the students would use and interact with. And then finally, we moved to staff dashboard, which is what the staff of Code the Dream and what they would use and what components they would interact with as well.
Okay, and these were the backend, the user authentication, to explain the course structure itself. So here's like, this is our diagram for our backend, like the structure of the database. So basically we have to kind of like get an agreement of like who is going to work with what. So for example, we split the team like in different parts. So who is going to work with the assignments, who is going to work like creating the authentication, who is going to create the structure of the courses. So this is basically how we structured this. We started here like with the user authentication, creating users, students, staff, and mentors from left to right. And in the right, we have like all the courses that contain units, that contain like lessons, that contain like sources and all of that, like how like this assignments and every week has assignments. And after that, like the main challenge was kind of like put everything together, right? So giving like the capability of the staff to modify information, the capability of the student to actually kind of like submit everything, submit like their assignments based on the courses that they were like doing, you know. So yeah, this is our like model relationship for the backend that we have.
Our solution for the whole project was to create a Code the Dream dashboard, which solves the issue of having information or resources in different places. And in this way, we can store all the information in one place, which is the Code the Dreams dashboard, and allow for staff tracking and student assignment for the students to send the assignments. And yes.
Is it? I'm going to share my screen now. Let's see here. Alrighty. Yeah, I got something. That was just Lori. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah. So this is the landing page of our project. This is essentially what any user of our website will see. It's pretty standard, right? There's a footer. There's a login component, forgot password if you just forgot their password. There's also a nav bar that has certain links. So if you want to learn about Code the Dream, there's some FAQ questions, I think, on Code the Dream's website. So if you want to see those, if you want to apply to Code the Dream, it's all here. So after the user logs in as a student, so this is the student dashboard. So this is what the student would see. There's a summary of the assignment for that week. There is a progress of all the weeks that they've done so far. And I'm going to turn it over to Natalia now.
Yeah, also there is going to be a section where the student needs like immediate contact to the organization so they can link need help, they can like to need help, and it's gonna direct to Code the Dream website for help. And then also there is like a section for mentor session that is like a direct link to schedule a mentor session. So it's basically a form. I don't know if you can click. Yeah, it's a form with the basic information. You can select your mentor, and then you can select the time that they are available. And then it's gonna be what type. We were thinking at the beginning of one-on-one mentor session, but that's like to discuss with the mentors, and then a mentor session, and then you provide a little bit of information about your assignment, how's it going, if you finish or you are working on it, and then if you have an additional questions for that, this information is gonna send directly to the database. Also, I work on the to-do list. We're gonna have a to-do list when the main basic task we describe there, and the student is gonna be able to check each task that is already done. And also there is gonna be like a buttons on the top for like join to a Zoom meeting directly. So you don't have to be looking for links anywhere. So there is just your Zoom link.
Yeah, so when you
And
go
go
to
ahead,
the
Mel.
nav bar, there's the component there that can check your profile. So if you go to accounts, then you can go here to change any information you need. What's static is the class and the email, but what you can edit is your name, your first and last. And also you can upload a profile pic. And when you do that, any changes you make, it would show throughout the whole application.
Alrighty, thank you. So one of the main motivations for creating this dashboard was we wanted the students to be able to submit the assignments in one place, and for the staff to keep track of the progress of the students and also receive the assignments. So for the student dashboard, as a student, I can go to the assignments component. All the assignments for all the units show up here. When we were creating this, we had to come up with the criteria to judge the progress of the students. We decided to include three criteria: instructions, progress, meaning that the students actually acknowledge the assignment, that they read the instructions. The second progress is like resources. So essentially resources is like a list of like the treehouse videos. Also, it is maybe any links to any articles or websites that the staff wants us to read or use. Another progress was like the GitHub link or the assignment submission. So if you click on here, it takes you to the GitHub Classroom with the assignment. When the student wants to submit their assignment, they would write it down here and submit it. And then as they do each of these things, they can do save progress, which saves that progress and notifies the staff that they've completed that. And then once the assignment submission has been submitted, because we thought that was like maybe the most important progress out of all the rest, they are visited to this like done page. And now I'm going to turn it over to Johan to explain the staff components.
Okay. So, share screen. Okay, so now here we are like in the staff components. So we're gonna log in. So we have this in which we can keep track of like students, mentors, and staff admins, right? So basically here, like in current courses, we have like Phoenix, Piranha, Jaime, and Katerina. We're gonna be able to create like a new course in case that we need. We always need, right? Code the Dream. So we're gonna have this capability. Also, we have this student management tracking report. So basically here, we're gonna be able to like search for students. For example, we want to look for Natal. Yeah, we're gonna find this Natalie Natova. And in this case, if we press here, we're gonna be able to add a course to edit. So basically add a course if in case that this person doesn't have any course assigned. Edit, right? We're gonna be able to edit like the name and the email. right? We're gonna be able to move through courses because sometimes, you know, you're like in Piranha and you're gonna go to the full stack. So you go to high noon, right? And we also have the option to delete the student, but we're not gonna delete the student. We're just gonna take out that student from the course in case that, you know, that is going to another course, right? So we can close here and we can also add like a new student and assign a course depending on the course that we want to assign. Okay, so now we go here to the tracking report, and in the tracking report, we have like, yeah, the tracking report of like every student. So for example, we want to see how is the progress of Jorge Gavito, and this is like set like in units. So we have like the front end one, front end two, back end one, back end two, right? So we're gonna be able to see based on the units. For example, in front end one, we see that the week 1 and week 2 is being completed here. So we have in green, and for example, here's gonna have like the GitHub link. So for the, and it's gonna be easier to kind of like just click, right, and go directly to the link of the repository and do like all the, you know, the revision of the assignments. And we have like for like every single student, depending on the course that they are assigned to, right? And we also have the capability to look for like students and see like individually, right? And these components were basically created by Julia and me, this part of the student management and tracking report. So yeah. And now we're gonna go to Natalia. She's gonna explain this part of the mentors.
So for the mentors, it's gonna be like a similar functionality that the students is gonna have like the option to add a mentor and track mentors. And when you add a mentor, you can have some actions too, like as delete the mentor, and also you can search for mentors. And it's gonna be like a similar functionality.
Mm-hmm.
And you can reset and start. That's it.
So yep. That's,
Alrighty.
yep.
Yeah, and something that I apologize. There's something I did want to show that I forgot. I know Lou is maybe a little upset, but this side is fully
No, I'm
responsive.
not. I'm not. But I
So
work
this
on
side is-
that. But so
yeah, this side is fully responsive. So like as like the browser with changes, so does the website itself.
thanks, Jorge.
Yeah. That's a very important part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that the end of the main presentation and is now open for just discussion and talking?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess we just want to thank everybody. So obviously we want to thank Code to Dream staff. You know, we wouldn't be here without you all. Obviously the mentors as well. Yeah, it's definitely the same sentiment. Like without your help and guidance and support, we wouldn't be here. And just thank everyone on the team. You know, these past couple of weeks especially have been really hard, and we've just been really trying to grind it out and try to do as much as we can. So all the hard work that we've done, it looks like it's paid off. So I appreciate everyone's hard work. And yeah, anyone else want to add anything? Lou, Johan, Danielson, Mel, Nati?
I want to add something. First of all, like, yeah, thanks so much, like Code the Dream, for allowing us to have this group. You know, like some, you know, I remember when I was like studying at school that like I wanted to do something, right? And I was like, I want to work in this project, and they were always kind of like, no, you can't. No, this is not right. But I feel like everyone that have worked in this project and in Code the Dream has like something to show, something to contribute, like something that can improve. Like, for example, we showed ourselves that we can actually push ourselves to do more, to do better, to improve the things that we think that we are bad at. And thank you so much, Code the Dream, for trusting us, for giving us the tools to develop this, and all the mentors for like being so patient, for helping us like with this project as well, not only just following the curriculum, right? Not only like the assignment is like, okay, this is good, we can put this, we can improve this. So it's been an amazing experience, and thank you so much, like you guys, and thank you to all the team that we did. I feel like it's been like a very fun couple of like months working in projects and creating like a family, creating friendship, and creating a team. It's been an amazing experience.
I want to start by saying I cannot believe that you were asking for an extra week before you guys presented this. That was amazing. And I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of work still to be done, but it's like I think it blew away any expectations that we had. And maybe you guys were just trying to set the bar lower or something, but there was no need. That was amazing. And I don't know, I'm almost speechless, which is like Lori said, is pretty tough. Also, all of the things you learned, all the challenges, I feel like you learned, basically went through all of the challenges that anyone ever has to go through to build a product all at one time, and you did it. And I don't know, I'm so proud of all of you. It's I don't know what else to say. And I think that the product has a lot of legs, and so I'm sure that we're probably going to talk about it, but it seems like we're gonna be able to get it at some point. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll have to figure all that out, but I think it's an amazing start, and I don't. Yeah. Does anyone?
Tom, I love that you call this a product, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
People buy products like that to run their classes or whatever. This is amazing.
People buy products that don't look half as good as that.
Exactly, you got it. Yep.
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I would like to thank Lou and the design team. Like they really did a great job. Yeah, like it looks amazing. So I really want to thank everyone who worked on that.
Yeah, I could just echo. I mean, it looks really good. Really great work. I can't believe you were saying like people feel like they felt like you didn't have faith from other people that you could do something. I mean, that's crazy. But I mean, it's really impressive. Obviously you spelled my last name wrong, so the whole thing is just horrible, and I hate it, and it's disgusting. But besides that, we're all good.
Especially since that's probably the only time that's ever happened, Jared, right?
Oh, my last name is spelled wrong more often than it's spelled correctly. Are you kidding me?
Just a couple of comments. First of all, I too am very impressed. I was wondering why you invented your own authentication. It's very difficult to do that in a way that's doesn't have holes, and it is more common to use a tested framework like Devise. Any comment on that?
Yeah.
Johan can speak for it. Okay. So yeah, we basically, that was one of our first options, like to use Devise. In the first week, I was like, yeah, guys, why don't we use Devise? And we kind of like start like going on and like studying Devise and all that stuff. But like when you're learning, you don't actually know what is good or what is bad. And like sometimes reading things through the internet is like, okay, Devise is good, but if you want to implement that like with like a front-end framework, that is kind of like not the same. And it was kind of like challenging, and we didn't have like a lot of time to kind of like do the authentication and all that stuff. So we basically did what for us in that moment in time was like the best for us. But we actually thought about like using device. Yeah.
Okay, I think that one of the things that one would want to look at is whether we would substitute it at some point in device, if that would be violence to the project that you've already done, because as I say, it's very difficult to do authentication in a way that is fully secure. Another question I had, I think one of the weaknesses of our courses is we don't currently do quizzes and tests. Sinan, I think you did something that would enable quizzes. I was wondering if that is something that might be plugged in here.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, as a final project, I created kind of like simple application for this. Actually, we talk about this before to integrating this application, but then actually like we left it to later to discuss about it. Yeah, actually like this was staying as an idea actually to do.
Yeah, we actually thought about like, yeah, like Sinan like was like, okay, like this part, like the project that he did was amazing. I was like, yeah, like we can implement this, and we're like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds very good. Things like we, like the lack of time, we had to present our final projects. We didn't have like too much time to add like more features. So yeah, but that's something that we will definitely add like in the future.
Yeah.
Well,
Just to say, like, I'm sorry to interrupt. You can go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, those are my only two questions, and I am very impressed by what you've built. This is impressive indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate it. I was just going to say, yeah, like this project, we try to do as much as we can before this deadline, but this is like I wouldn't say never ending project, but there's so much more that can be optimized, added, fixed. So yeah, so all the suggestions that were made, we can definitely, take them and add them to the project, I think.
I wanted to introduce myself first. I'm TC. I'm one of the senior developers on the intern side. I use they, them, she, her pronouns. And yeah, I second everyone. This is really, really impressive work, especially from students. So that's really cool to see that y'all self-organized to make this happen. Super awesome. I'm also looking forward to working with many, if not all of you, very soon. So that's going to be awesome. I had a couple questions as well. I think it's either Johan or Jorge, you mentioned, or someone, I forget who, mentioned that y'all picked up ant design. I've barely run across it in the past. So that was an interesting choice in terms of front-end framework. So I was wondering sort of like what led into that decision. And also like, since there was learning curve in terms of picking it up, like how like if we were to bring other people on to work on it, like sort of like what that process might look like in terms of like onboarding to working on the project. Yeah.
So I'll let Lou, I guess, explain why we chose it, because I think she was kind of the main factor in us using it, because we had contemplated using Material UI. React Bootstrap was an option. I don't think we really wanted to do that because we've always been using Bootstrap. We wanted to try something new. But Lou can talk about that, and then maybe I can talk about the challenges that we experienced and how we overcame them.
Yeah, we wanted to since we were gonna use like some tables and some different components, so we searched for a UI library that has some of the things that we needed. So I think that Natalia and I did the research, and then we came up with the idea to use Undesign, but we didn't know how to use it. So we asked Gaten and E to how to use it, because we were using Bootstrap and we thought that it was going to be the same, but it was hard at first, but then we figured out how to work with that. So yeah, that's the way that we choose the library.
Yeah,
I also do want to mention that most of the components on the end design are the ones that we needed, and the design for it was similar to what we were looking for, the dashboard. So
Yeah, I
just
was going to
wanted to
ask
add
about that. The dashboard, it looks like that. I was going to ask like how much of that is like a template that y'all picked up, or was that, or was
No.
there a good amount of like custom stuff you were making for that?
Yeah, because when we made the mockups, I used Undesign already has a Figma file for you can like grab the components in your design. So I use most of them in our mockup. So yeah, that was the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. I guess just to answer your question about onboarding and potentially using this. So like if you come from a Bootstrap background, you are used to like having a bunch of like Stack Overflow questions, resources if you have any issues. With AntDesign, it's not quite like that. There's not as many options for you if you run into errors or issues. But the documentation itself is actually pretty good. So at first, you know, it was new. We didn't really know how to use it, and we weren't familiar with. So AntDesign has their own grid system like React, Bootstrap does, or Bootstrap. So, you know, at first we're like, oh man, this is new, like scary. We don't know how to do it. But over time, we like actually thought it was like pretty easy to use. There are some hiccups, but like for the most part, it was good. So I think using it in the future is, it should be a good thing or easy.
Yeah.
And E, doesn't your old company, didn't you guys use AntDesign pretty heavily?
Yeah, it's starting to get more popular. I think it's considered the second most popular React component library next to Bootstrap now. And
Yeah.
documentation is worlds above React Bootstrap on its own.
Yeah. It seems like they have like a lot of features like built into their components that people are looking for. Like the tables, for example, they have like filtering options, like you name it, it's got it. You know, the parent-child relationship in the table, it's all built in. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it looks nice too.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it looks.
Cool. That's awesome. I guess I had just one other question. Yeah, I kind of second what John said about security. It's hard to roll your own security and have it be like airtight. So more often than not, you're going to end up working with a third-party library of some kind. Yeah, the decision to go with cookies was interesting. I think a lot of the industry is moving away from cookies to things like JSON Web Tokens, that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we use JWT actually.
Oh, you did? Okay. Are you storing that in the cookie then? Is that how it's working?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we're sending like from the back end, like the JWT token, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the front end, and we are storing that in the cookie.
Okay. I guess the question then is like cookies versus local storage or session storage. Yeah. Anyway,
so we had all those questions. We didn't have a lot of answers. If you go online and you ask that question, you'll have like, you know, different people saying different things. I guess we chose cookies because I had experience with that. Like local storage I looked into as well. That was an option, and like sessions, like you mentioned. But yeah, we use JWTs and cookies in conjunction with each other.
I think that like the main problem for us was like because we started like using like the dispatcher, like action dispatch cookie, and it was working in development, but when we put that in production, it wasn't working. It wasn't setting like the cookie in the browser, so we have to change like kind of like not everything, but like a lot in the backend in order to make that to work, like using, you know, the JWT and sending the headers and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'll be like, yeah, I feel like, and I think you guys did amazing work. I feel like other people are almost nice saying it's hard to get authentication correct without problems. I would go to the extent of, you know, being overly dramatic and saying it's impossible. But I mean, even massive libraries out there that have, thousands of people looking at them, have bugs that get discovered. But that's not something that I would want to be blocked to just try and get the prototype, spun up and working. So I'm not blocked, or don't think that's a real challenge. I do have not necessarily a question about what you did, but this is more, I want to take a look at this stuff. Where's my repos and some documentation so I can figure out how to run this stuff and play with it myself.
Yeah, actually, like I was like kind of like documenting like all those endpoints. So like a lot of things that have to be put like, but yeah, like once I finish them, I can totally share that like that with you guys. I mean, I have like something now, but yeah, we are needing like more endpoints. Like
I can read the code. I just want some documentation on how to spin the code up. Make sure
Okay.
I have all my steps to get both parts running.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
have a question too. It's a little bit related to that, or actually, I guess 3 parts. And it's so cool, you guys. I'm just like so blown away. It's beautiful. It's so amazing. But so a couple of questions. One was, I know you all have been working on it for a really long time, but if you could share like about like how much time did you actually spend on this? Like how many hours per week, or how many weeks? And if you have any sense of that. So that was one. The second was, I guess, yeah, like how can I see it and play with it and look at all of the things? And then the third question was like, okay, what now? And I'm sure that's partly a question with Code the Dream too, but I was just wondering from you guys, like, what's your vision for the next steps? So 3-part question.
I'll answer the last part, and then I guess Johan, Lou, or anyone else can maybe answer the other ones. But the vision, the goal, motivation for doing this obviously was for the students, staff, and mentors to use. So moving forward, hopefully this prototype can be modified, optimized, edited, adjusted, however you want to say it, by future students. So this project is carried forward, and then eventually Code the Dream uses it. Obviously, if you guys want it, or if you all want to use it, but we would like for everyone to use it at Code the Dream.
Um,
I just had a few things to say. I think I'm very impressed, just like everyone else, about the progress that you guys made, and the design is like also really, really good. I really liked it. And then one of the things that like we've tried to do a product like this, like Code the Dream, but it just has never worked out. And we just either didn't have the time, or we had to allocate resources to something else, or something happened. But I think that we've always wanted a product like this. So I it's really amazing that you guys created this, and then this is kind of going to be your legacy. That's, if Code the Dream uses it, it's going to be a like part of Code the Dream. Maybe it could become like like the way that we manage Code the Dream. And I'm really looking forward to it. In terms of like questions, I guess most of the questions that I had were answered, and I probably have some questions, but it's probably better if maybe I get a chance to play with it first and take a look at some of the code. But great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say this. I thought so. I learned so much about Rails programming with this project. So another goal or like motivation for us moving forward is that like students would be involved in some way in creating this. So I know like maybe this will be used as like a practicum project. But for us, like we learned so much about coding through this one project. And I feel that students in the future would also learn as much as we did if they were able to contribute. So, hopefully the students can have a role in creating this.
Yeah, regarding what Jorge was saying, like I feel like one of the challenges was also kind of like work as a team, not because like, you know, it was like mostly because we have like different times. There are like people that are working different times. Like for example, I'm in Pacific time, and like our students are on Central time or Eastern time. It was like very complicated. First that, okay, that was not that hard, but for example, some people work, and it was like very hard to meet like in certain days of the week to, yeah. Another thing is like we didn't actually have any experience like working with other people. We were just like working with our own repository, and you just like push and everything is okay. But we actually learned a lot of how to deal with conflicts. That was like one of the things that I like, that I and I think like most of us like learned, like dealing with conflicts and dealing with other people's code. That was like a great experience, like putting everything together and like seeing a conflict, and it's like, okay, no, it's a conflict. It's more like, okay, yeah, it's a conflict. Let's solve this conflict. Next. So yeah, that was that was a good experience. Like more like working as a team. I think that like maybe like for the next generation of students, it will be cool like to have like projects like this in which you can kind of like destroy your code with other people, right?
Because that's what working is more like, right? It's not just like you working in a silo, it's working as part of a team. Yeah, and that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not destroying the code. It's like you know what I mean, right? Like,
And to answer Lori, second question, we have two repositories. We have the front end and the back end, and we can also share that with you guys.
Do you have a project management board of some sort with, and obviously we don't want to get into this now. I'm just curious that has like outstanding tickets and things that you were working on, and like I know that you had a Trello board at one point through the years. I'm just curious if you still have.
We were using, I'm sorry, Tom, we were using Jira.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I remember. Cool. And how up to date. I'm just curious at some point where when we start playing with it, looking at it, I feel like we're going to want to start documenting, you know, where things are and where we would want it to be before we started using it and figuring out how to get from A to Z. I'm just was curious where everything was most recently. Cool.
Yeah, documentation is in progress, but you know, with some time we can sit down and write down all the documentation.
Awesome.
I just want to give you guys like a big, huge applause and, you know, bravo. Amazing.
Thank you.
It's obviously so much work. I mean, and it's very, very impressive. And you guys are just awesome. And
thank you.
You're all, I was going to say,